Everybody, it's been a few weeks here at Bush League, but now it's time to separate the Chucks from the Bettys. This is the semifinals of the Betty White bracket itself. My name is Cat Peach. Bahamut, are you there? Bahamut's audio maybe had died. Let me see. Oh, haha, I hit the wrong thing. Haha. Good start to the stream. I had hit the game overlay instead of casters. It seems like Discord audio has also just entirely shit the bed right now, so we are working on that. Bahamut is here with me to get things rolling once we can hear each other.
I got you.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Apparently Discord decided to just like shut off audio right as we went live.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, we are back, Bahamut. Thanks for joining me. Let's fucking kick this shit off. We are getting into the first semifinal round here of the Betty White bracket. We have the League of Ordinary Gentlemen versus Felominishal here tonight. And we've got some different draft rules that we can talk about when we get into the draft. But for game number 1 here tonight, we are going to Infernal Shrines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight shall be a best of 3. Instead of our usual format where casters pick, we actually let the teams pick this go around, which is very exciting.
I actually just really wish we could go to Praxis Holdout. That's really it. Like, they've actually banned out Praxis Holdout so that we couldn't force them to go there in some way, shape, or form. And that's just unfair. Like, it's not cool of these teams to be forcing us into Infernal Shrines like this. But at the same time, like, I am absolutely super pumped about this because this is Bush League. This is where we're going to be seeing some of the most interesting drafts. And Felominishal, I guess I'm to be like, I understand it is like there's really no way of like understanding what they could be going in for. So I'm excited about it. And
yeah,
maybe we get some Mephisto play too. Like that would actually be really interesting to see. Though he sits in a weird spot right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I appreciate the focus on banning out the Kerrigan, given that, you know, reworks are absolutely in play here. So just taking out that annoyance right from the beginning is really good on them. The Diablo takeaway, though, because they have played quite a bit of Diablo, I feel like, all through Bush League, so pulling him away here. So we are on Infernal Shrines. As I mentioned, there's a new format here with map picks. So both teams got to ban out a map tonight. So we had a Cursed Hollow ban and a Braxis Holdout ban from these teams. And League of Ordinary Gentlemen picking this map. So this is their favored, and Felominishal having first pick here. So we'll have to see if game number 1 goes for these teams. As the URL and the Kael'thas are also removed. No actual Felominishal namesake here today, Bahamut. Oh no, you've roboed on me again. Let's see. Oh, Discord. Discord is having a hard time with things apparently. Talk now. Nope. So, let's see if Discord can stop being a little annoyance. You back?
I think I'm back.
Okay, I don't know if it's you or me, but
I think it's me because I peeked on stream and you sound fine, so I think it's me. And so every time it robots, I'm just gonna have to sit there and hit. I'm gonna have to refresh Discord because apparently it's just not liking me this evening. But we do have that first pick Asmodan along with the Decker Kane Jaina, which is a strong composition offering a lot of these shrines. And then you have Phoenix and Tyrande, which is a great just combination here, and maybe looking to see some things that will, you know, add to those slows, add to that purification salvo.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the old synergies have kind of stopped showing up as much for that Phoenix, because we saw a lot of the, I mean, Diablo's banned out here, but a lot of like the Thrall additional pickup. I feel like the Jaina might be actually a takeaway to make sure that that additional slow isn't there, but we also have the availability of Raynor still to add to those slows as well, although not in as great of numbers, so perhaps that's a pickup for LoOG coming in, but they're going to pick up the Lily Sonya here. A little panda that could.
I'm liking the fast feet. The blinds will be pretty big too because they are going to be needing to pick up something in the auto attack range. They are going to need a bit of a front line. Now Asmodan offers a bit into that with, you know, him being such a beefy boy, but realistically here they're going to be looking for a main tank, and you know, Garrosh being taken off the table, Murden and Diablo gone. I mean, maybe we lean to that Arthas, maybe we lean more into I actually like this a ton to be able to have that's a hook into a taunt into all the burst damage from Jaina in the world, and then Deckard's dropping it too. Felominishal has a really strong draft in my opinion if they can execute it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about landing those Stitches hooks, and so Stitches has the burden essentially for making that all work, or perhaps Varian also just YOLOs and says, we're not going to go taunt, we'll do something else here, which, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of Twin Blades Varian, I feel like. We're going to have the Zool follow-up at the end of the draft here, though, for LoOG, kind of doing the not true warrior composition with the Sonya and the Zool there that we've been seeing the pros pull off. But can LoOG pull it off here is the question, Baha, which, you know,
it's
different realm
here. It's a big execution. It's a big execution. Now, I just also like getting called up by Ramadi instantly in chat. Just like he's just like as if this is going to actually be a taunt variant. No, this is going to be twin blades. Like this is the Bush League. Why would I expect there to be that kind of like synergistic lockdown and really really strong composition? No, let's go for the most memey talent in the game. And realistically, yeah, it's Bush League. Like absolutely, this is what we should be expecting from Felominishal. But this is also going to be the Azmodan, and their wave clear into it is going to be awesome. So it also means that that's going to be a solo lane variant. So yeah, it actually absolutely could be that Twin Blades.
Which you love to see it. I mean, it does add a pretty large threat to a lot of situations, I think, on Infernal Shrines, but it also... I feel like makes Varian go into positions where you can just take him out so easily. And if he goes in with that Twin Blades way too hard, you have the follow-up stun Tyrande, you have the root that comes out from Zul, so it's going to be very scary if that Varian gets a bit too into the fray, if you know what I mean.
We'll see here, as it looks like we are getting both these teams loading in here in just a second, and I cannot wait, as it is going to be game number 1, Infernal Shrines on the left-hand side. We are going to be having a League of Ordinary Gentlemen. We're going to have Bags going to be on the Sonya, Mystic Shroud going to be on the Tyrande. We'll have Ender Wiggin going to be on the Lily, Rosa going to be on the Zul, and Boxley is going to be on the Phoenix.
And over in the red, we have Felominishal. We're going to have Grimlock on the Varian, Shin on that Jaina, Sylvier on the Decker Kane, Leif Erikson on Stitches, and Zernax on your favorite Baja, the Azmodan.
And as we get into this level 1, they have gone into the Gluttonies. So GG, well played. This is going to be League of Ordinary Gentlemen winning this. No, I'm just kidding. I am just that much of just a jerk about it. But no, we are going to be getting that Gluttony stack at level 1, so that's going to be a nice pickup for them as they actually get the nice hook onto the Phoenix right away. The Blink is going to take them right out of there. There will be the laser coming out from Zernax onto the Zul, trying to get some damage out, but both teams making a clean disengage and realistically just kind of testing each other's might at the start of this match.
The one thing about the, surrounding composition here, so there's obviously enough support for Zul to kind of have to go into the front line like he has to do if he wants to land those roots and really get that damage in. But if we end up seeing a Twin Blades variant later on in this game, which given that we don't have High King's Quest, like my thoughts on that are kind of changing up a little bit. But potentially, is there enough damage to even circumnavigate the double support composition of LoOG here, in your opinion?
That is true. I mean, if you are going to be going for the Twin Blades, that might be a little risky having that Lily right there, and you're going to be having a lot to deal with in that situation where you can just be blind for so long, you step up and then you just get bodied because you're not self-healing, because you're not autoing. And I personally, when I play Varian, I don't like to die this early, but
but sometimes you do.
I do like to go into that level 1 Lions mod just for that extra sustain, and then I can chase a little bit more. But I still go into taunt, and even then, I still think it leans well into the Colossal Smashes. I think I'm seeing a couple people in Twitch chat really excited for.
Anything is possible here in the Betty White bracket, so maybe we'll see a Colossal Smash. Only time will tell as we approach that very important level 4 to answer our questions. But until then, LoOG deciding to get some macro pressure here on the field, grabbing their siege camp, preparing before the shrines begin. Getting a bit of pressure in mid since the shrine will be at top. The stun goes out onto Grimlock. A lot of damage there, but Varian's still going to make it out of that situation.
They're playing this pretty safe at the early game. Level 4s have arrived. We are going to be getting the Colossal Smash from that variant, so I know there are going to be a few members happy about that.
And immediately used on the Bruiser camp. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, hey, when you have, 16-second cooldown? 20-second cooldown. You can burn it quite often. Also, I mean, they know that they're going to be going, right after that camp into this engagement. But at the same time, yeah, no, I get it, yeah. I gotta press that R key. I want to hear Varian just yell and smash someone in the face with a sword. But meanwhile, on the left-hand side, we will have Bags picking up this Bruiser camp to push into top lane, and that will match the one that was picked up on the right-hand side just a moment ago. And realistically, these teams are pretty dead even when it comes to experience, and we only just have one kill, and that's over on the side of League of Ordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, as he's trying to start, keep an eye on Zool and see just how quickly we get clear on the side of League of Ordinary Gentlemen, but the uptick starts in favor of Felominishal, who immediately goes in, starts clearing up these defenders, while their opponents clear this top lane that has that camp pushing in it. So there's a bit of a challenge there. The Blizzard dumping a lot of damage onto Rositha. The lock goes on to Grimlock, and Varian is going to fall here. Zernax trying to get the laser damage out onto LoOG, but it is not enough. The team going to back away for the time being. The dunk is there, clears out some shrines, and Felominishal still has the lead, so they can afford to wait for Varian to come back, but Zool, being known for being able to clear, is actually not the one focusing so hard. Sonya is doing a great job catching up in those skeletal defender counts.
Sonya is a phenomenal hero for a map like this to get those that clear under the shrine, but this is actually a lot of damage going on to Leaf Erickson. The Stitches might not be able to leave through this as they're out with under 100 health. I think it went down to about 72 there, but Zeranex might be the next one to go as Phoenix does not... I was thinking, I was like, are you going to be able to switch to the Pulse Cannon and get that extra burst that you're looking for after getting the 3 autos, but not going to be happening just yet. As we're trying to get a couple stacks as well as maybe delay out this Punisher. Not yet, as the first one will go over in favor for League of Ordinary Gentlemen, and they start to rotate their Sonya off into the mid lane for more soak, and the Punisher goes over the wall, and they prepare for this fight in top lane.
The important thing, too, is that the defense doesn't have everyone here on the side of Felominishal, because someone has to go down to that bottom lane and respond to that siege camp that was grabbed before the shrine even began. A lot of damage, again, going on to Gorilla. The Punisher stuns onto Leaf Erickson. Stitches is going to get chopped up, the chef himself. And this fort should be falling here in the next couple of moments. If LoOG wants to stick around, the Punisher does fall before it can happen, and they're trying to get the last pokes in, but without the minion wave, are going to fall back. Zernax trying to give Bags a bit busy down here in the bot lane, trying to just cancel out a lot of this experience that either side is trying to get. We're gonna have the cleanse coming out for Lily as well, so we'll have to see how the Panda fares with that. There are a lot of, you know, situations that they can come in handy in these fights.
I'm waiting to see how this is going to be utilized, because the blinds in the later half are going to be really devastating, and it has actually shown that they really can't engage too hard in a couple of these situations as Leaf Erickson is stepping in here. There is the Zool kind of on an island by themselves. The rest of the team is in that backline. Leaf Erickson taking a ton of damage, a little too much, and that will be the Stitches falling here as Grimlock will be going down as well. Zeranex and team needs to leave, and Decker Kane will do their best, but realistically, I think this is going to be a dead ass Madan, and they take 3 kills here, and they steal away the camp from the enemy team.
If Betty White was here, she might have a heart attack for how dirty League is playing this right now. They are just getting kills left and right. They're focusing on that Stitches so hard, and so much so that as soon as Stitches is out of the picture, there's not so much that Felominishal can do, so they end up retreating, and this has given their opponents a level ahead in experience here on Infernal Shrine. So they are set up in a great position to push that bottom camp and really prep this bottom lane before the next shrine begins. And we see Leaf again, so much damage already taken before a full engagement even happens here.
Mystic Shroud is going to be getting dove on by that Colossal Smash, but they don't have the follow-up damage for it, and that is just going to be them kind of walking away. And realistically, while we look at these compositions, if Jaina isn't really able to get the damage out, or if she's off in another lane having to go clear, this is not... It's not the way you want to run this, because you're not going to be able to get that you're not going to be able to get that kill. Colossal Smash sets you up for so much, but if you don't have that burst to follow it up, then nothing's going to happen, as we are going to be getting the mages coming out at this time. Leaf Erickson, the Meme Beam just to... Oh my god. No Purification Salvo, and they go straight into the Planet Cracker.
The meme machine coming out from Phoenix, capitalizing on that kill instantly here. Level 10, very worth here for League of Ordinary Gentlemen, and the likes of Felominishal now just trying to find what's left over on the map that they can try to get some experience, try to get level 10 themselves. It's going to be a pit, so I don't want to see them necessarily dive right into the shrine immediately, but can they make up the experience? They're on their way for sure. They're looking at about a half level left, so they might have to give up the early advantage to their opponents just so they can try to fight on even footing, or they can say F it and go in anyway, but not something I would necessarily recommend. The root does go out onto Grimlock. A lot of damage coming out from League of Ordinary Gentlemen, and they're able to take out the Varian before this even begins.
That is a great pick to have, as they are going to be having the shrine active at this time. And you mentioned it earlier in this game, Cap Peach. Zool on clearing these shrines. Did you see they just picked up 10 skeletal defenders in a matter of seconds as they get the bone prison onto Leaf Erickson, who only hooks a skeletal defender. 11-9, they want to fight this without their 10s, but, you know, Sonya isn't there, and I just looked up, I was like, what did Sonya take? And I was hoping for a leap, but no, that's not the situation. As they have had their full team arrive at this time. Leaf Erickson and team do have their 10s available, but Sonya dives in with the Wrath of Berserker and absolutely body Stitches.
Stitches goes flying there. The mage wall being able to help with that lock-in. The lock-in, though, now goes on to Azumdan. Rosai trying to get the damage, and it is there. And that is 2 now down on Felominishal. There are camps pushing in top and mid. Varian had to go respond to the camp up top earlier just to try to save that top fort, but the mid, there is just pressure everywhere here for League of Ordinary Gentlemen. They're showing maybe they're not so ordinary, even though they're here in the Betty White bracket in Bush League, but getting on top of a bracket, still getting on top of a bracket, and that is what they are trying to do with this Border Punisher here.
Oh, Leaf Erickson with that hook could have been big for them, and it's just not there. They have the Gorge. They have that potential for, you know, to steal one member away and body them behind the lines, or at least hold them by the gate and do that exactly, as we do have the leap coming out, the Planet Cracker, and the lockdown from Zool. Didn't even pop the bone prison, and they still got the kill. As the Zool was gorged by them, and this is exactly what I was talking about. They start to take out the sidewall. Zool still living through this. That will be the Ring of Frost coming out. The Punisher leaps over the wall. Leaf Erickson and Shin are taking a ton of damage, as well as Grimlock. They need to start cycling out of here as the Punisher has worked its way up onto this core or keep, and Xeranex needs to start to back off too, as they're not getting as much value as they're looking for.
League of Ordinary Gentlemen using the jugs. They get stunned out of Grimlock going in onto Rosai, ends up backing away immediately given how low they are. Phoenix Loxley trying to get those final hits in, but is going to teleport away instead. And now, does this keep fall is the question, and it's looking like it's going to live another day here. Bahamut, the hook goes out, but it misses. The roots coming out from Zool, and like you mentioned, just Zool is staying alive so long in all these fights. I don't think he's necessarily died a single time yet. So Rosai really commanding with that Scythed hero, being able to get that clear, get that damage, get that crowd control. And we're really seeing why. Oh, this hook from Leaf, though, gets the Sonya. And Bags is going to go down. First kill for Felominishal here.
I just want to do a quick PSA to everyone in Twitch chat. This is why you take Leap. If you had Leap, you would have been able to get out of that just fine. So
you would have right out of that situation.
Yeah, exactly. You can land on the other side of the wall, you know, land it, stick the landing 10 out of 10, and then you can walk away just fine. But at the same time, I mean, they are getting a ton of value from Wrath of Berserker throughout this entire game. Every time I hear that spear come out, I also hear that yell, and it's a bit terrifying as the mages have come out there looking at the Decker Cane. That is the the Planet Cracker coming out, and they are going to just body Decker Cane here. Ring of Frost going to catch one in the backline, slows them down here as Grimlock dives right back in. The hook comes out. I think it was meant to maybe pull them a little bit further towards the friendly team. The Stitches does not have Gorge yet, but the Lunar Flare Snipe is going to kill Grimlock as Leaf Erickson has killed themselves as well.
What a beautiful pick coming out from Tyrande there. Oh my goodness, the Lunar Flare value. I do really like the Planet Cracker Bone Prison coming out from Zool and Phoenix here. Just the single target lockdown, which you don't often see Planet Cracker be used for, but you just see how quickly it's chunking through whoever is rooted by Rosai in that situation. So they're constantly being able to pick off the Stitches, the Decker Cane, whoever is in there is going to go down. So the lack of cleanse, as someone was actually mentioning in chat earlier, the lack of cleanse that we see from Deckard Cane is just proving so difficult for Decker to really give the type of support that's needed to go against such a stun and crowd control heavy composition on the side of LoOG.
The other thing on top of that, Zool's clears, Zool's pressure, and Zool's summons. Like that's a big factor of this entire composition. As they're keeping Zool alive, and they're able just to body with this as the building is in the way, but that is going to be Grimlock diving in. Raza is going to be taking a ton of damage. The ring catches 3 members here. Cups have come out, and that is a lot of members being healed right back up as the mages come out as well. Shin going to be dying as well. Varian and Jaina down at this time. Xeranex will be put into the roots here as they dive in, and so much damage coming out from that Sonya. She could take Leap in it and still work there. I just want to say that because I know Dorsch wasn't happy with my Leap comment before. Zool is going to be falling here to the minions, but we do have a Shrine activating in the mid lane.
The Gorge onto Zul, I think, definitely helped the case of Felominishal a lot in the next coming moments of this game, not having to deal with the Necromancer there. I did appreciate Loxley with the Planet Cracker just trying to say, I know they're going to immediately attack the Zul, so let me put the Planet Cracker where they're going to be, and there just wasn't enough damage there. I'm also really surprised there was a 4-person Ring of Frost, and simply not being able to get the Lily in there allowed them to use Jugs of Thousand Cups, keep everyone alive. There wasn't enough follow-up damage from the Jaina or the Varian to really take out any targets in that fight, so it was a great tool to use, but just that lack of damage didn't net them as much as I think they were really going for there in that fight.
I think that they wanted absolutely so much more, and you nailed that right on the head. The other thing too is they need to achieve their 16s, but it's all 5 members up. There's catapults mounting in bottom lane. There's a siege pressure in top, and they know that they can't really fight into this without their 16s, so they're kind of trying to play this from the side. Ring of Frost will be going out. They're trying to get some burst out onto the Sonya, but the cleanse is out, and Fine Bags does get locked down by the Scroll of Identify. And feel at this point they're just fine and sustaining through this. This is a double support composition. Dunk's going to be coming out from Asmodan. They body the Varian, who, well, I was going to say they live for a second, but no, they don't. That is going to be the Punisher, though, picked up for Felominishal, as they have managed to poke all those out. But with all the pressure mounting on the core, they might be able to just say skip the Punisher and go straight for the bottom lane rush.
Yeah, they absolutely can if they choose to. Jaina trying to clean up a bit of the push that's there to kind of incentivize that, but instead they're going for the experience. They're going to open up this top gate so they can get to that keep as well and hit level 20 here soon as that Punisher goes unattested. The Arcane Punisher throwing down those lasers to assist with those punches right onto those buildings is going to take down a 4 all by itself there. League of Ordinary Gentlemen going to make the back now after already clearing that gate, say that is enough of a win for us. Catapult still building up in the bottom lane as well, so Felominishal, they're going to have their hands busy for a while, so they're finally going to retreat to their side of the map, clear out the remains of this Punisher, and start looking for glory in that level 20.
Do you remember if the Punisher before this one was in bottom lane or not? Because I think it was. And so I'm wondering if they were banking on the fact that potentially the next Punisher after this would be in that top lane, and taking out that gate preps them for a potential win, and maybe they were just going for that, or realistically they were just trying to have that experience buff and still keep the gap in between the two teams. Not sure, as the mages have come out onto Leaf Erickson, they're trying to chase this. It will be the Lunar Flare connecting, the Bone Prison goes out. That is the Planet Cracker onto it as well. The Ring of Frost right underneath it to stay a while and listen is underneath a lot of these members. The hook comes out. That is going to be the Gorge onto Sonya. The rest of the team is a little bit low around this. Bags is going to get the Mythical Spear pull out of there, and they are fine. You don't need Leaf if you have your Spear always pulling for you, and they make this clean disengage. No team losing any members, but 20's on the cusp for the members of League of Ordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, Felominishal wants some kind of even fight. It's going to be a little bit of a window that they have to make that happen, but it's not open for very long. And given that there's so much more that they have to catch up on, they have to push out their lanes, they have to build up some macro pressure on their own, and being possibly sighted by this Owl also have to worry about whether or not they will be collapsed on here as they try to get this siege camp. But it's a long road. It's not impossible. They have a fort down in mid. Perhaps there's something that can make happen there, but the next shrine is really important for Felominishal. If they don't get that, that's a Punisher going right to their core, and given the scenario, I don't think that's necessarily a defense that they can bring to the table here.
And I just looked over at chat as you said that the defense and everything, and also being bottom lane. Someone in just Twitch chat just says 19 kills, and I looked
also
up. Also
19 kills.
It's 19. It was 19-2 in kills. Like, it has been a very, very good games thus far for the members of League of Ordinary Gentlemen. But at the same time, Felominishal have had some really great pressure in the later half of this game. Asmodan is going to be stacking up. They are going to be finishing out the stacks on Stitches as well. So all these members are kind of getting a little bit stronger here as they open up bottom lane. They want to close this experience gap. They're not going to be looking at 20s any sort of quickly, but they do know that the enemy team is in the top lane because they can see them all clearing that lane. So they play the safe. They actually get forced back here. I was actually thinking Asmodan would get hit by the minion wave, but everyone makes it back. They have the pull. The bird goes out. They see that with the Sentinel, and they've made a clean disengage so that they also don't lose their fort and get a big experience buff in favor for Felominishal.
I'm getting a little antsy in my seat, Baja, because this might be the last Punisher of this game one here in this semifinals bracket. So we'll have to see. Felominishal, can they fight 2 levels down if that's what they choose? Or can they defend against a Punisher going to a keepless lane is the two of the biggest questions happening here in my head right now. Right now, they're playing it safe and trying to clear that top camp together as a group, but we're just seeing how quickly Zul shreds through those skeletal defenders. So at this rate, this Shrine being won over by LoOG, hands down. I don't think the rotation is going to be fast enough, and I think with the kill potential on the side of LoOG, I don't think any fight's going to go well unless they get a quick Stitches hook with a Gorge and try to take out this Sonya. Bags, the mystical spear hasn't been used yet. It ends up getting stunned out of from the sleep. The Planet Cracker comes out trying to save that Sonya, but she is going to go down. Shin took a lot of damage, though, from that beam, but this Punisher now barreling down the bottom lane. We have to see if Felominishal can clean this up quickly and stay in this game.
Oh my god, that pick onto Sonya was so big for them, getting them so much experience, but at the same time, that does give this Punisher over 3 catapults, 4 members sieging down this bottom lane. Their main kind of tank at this point has been that Zul, and the Punisher Leap does go over. The mages have come out as well. They're looking for some sort of chase onto this as they're getting the Lunar Flare onto one. Leaf Erickson's taking a bit of damage, going to be able to get the bite out. That is going to be the Ring of Frost going out. Phoenix is in a bit of a bad spot as well as Grimlock, but they end up getting right out of here. Teams are still staying alive as the Punisher is starting to whittle down this core. The shielding coming off. Grimlock in a really bad spot. That's going to be Leaf Erickson falling at this time. Grimlock making it into the core, but the catapults have amounted to too much. The rest of the team is auto-attacking the core, and then it's going to be game number 1 going over to League of Ordinary Gentlemen. GG, well played.
GG, well played. Getting the win here in game 1 with, what was the final count on kills? 20-3 for League of Ordinary Gentlemen. Golly, that Zul composition, it's making its way down through all the types of players here, and it was executed so well here by LoOG.
Just to kind of paint some pictures here, so Felominishal, the Asmodan ended up doing 161,000 in Siege. Zul did 135, but at the same time, you still had 8 kills coming out from Zul. And that's the big thing is the amount that they were able to utilize that and push into the front line and just have have 100% kill participation from that Zul as well, being there for every single kill, as well as Phoenix following that up with the 64,000 in hero damage. Just it was an absolutely strong game for the members of League of Ordinary Gentlemen. But Felominishal, they put up a good fight. Now, macro-wise, I know if I say that in Twitch chat, we'll be like, no, they only got 3 kills. They didn't put up a good fight at all. But they absolutely still played around the map very well. And I think if they tighten up and get a little bit more aggressive in game number 2, I think that's where they can really, really come back and start to even up the series and take us into a game 3 and potentially move on through the Betty White bracket.
They whoever wins this moves on to face off against the second half of the Betty White bracket, which doesn't get played until October 8th. We have a bit of a break there, but yeah, I mean, whoever wins this is, if you're out, you're out of Bush League for the season. So depends on how hard these teams want to stay in. But we are going to have Felominishal picking the map for game number 2 in Bahamut. They are bringing us
Towers of Doom.
They are bringing us the Sky Temple.
It's still a great map, but I want Towers of Doom still. I just want all the Towers of Doom games.
Maybe.
No. It's Sky Temple's an awesome map because we really do see a different kind of play on a map like this because you need to be really focused on that macro and being able to split your teams off and say, all right, there's 2 temples available. How do we want to, attack both of these, or do we just give one over, or then we just soak a lane in between? And then does the Abathur get a high priority? We often see things like Falstad as well, and on top of that, we see Dahaka too. Falstad offering a lot of great boss control. Brightwing can make a resurgence here. I'm curious to actually see if anyone plays into that. But the big one, I think, is Abathur on this map. I'm curious to see if there's any priority from any of these teams onto the Abathur, or if it just slides through and we just see things like Hanzo for some boss control or some boss burning, as well as a great poke and everything like that. So it's really just the direction they want to go. And I don't know. as a map on at the whole, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it lends itself to a lot of interesting strategies. We've seen in other places the comeback of the China strat of just really controlling that bottom lane and trying to control that boss and just having that be your sole win condition from the start of the game. So I'm wondering if teams are thinking about that, or if they're simply thinking about how often can we team fight on those shrines rather than try to trade them out, and how to make that work. And from the team fights we were seeing from League in that last game, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're thinking.
I wonder if I'm curious if they try and play into the aggressive style, or do they just try and play into the macro? If they play into the map here on the side of Felominishal, because League of Ordinary Gentlemen are not very ordinary in their team fights, and they do very, very well, as we saw throughout that entire game. So I wonder what the direction you take is to kind of address that. I don't know if you take a few more shots and you just kind of prepare yourself to be a little bit more ready for this, because it is Bush League. Like I think the way you prepare is just with alcohol. Like, I think that's the only route to go.
I mean, that's the route we go. So, and
Yes.
Zach's totally being like, oh, you're not classy. I had to mix things to go into this glass, mister. This is a gin and tonic that I actually almost finished. Which is
In game one.
In game one. Rip. So we'll have to see whether or not I will be drinkless if we go to a game 3.
I will say this.
But we're always classy here in the Betty White, I would say.
I have managed to actually move the camera around, still cast with you, and pour a beer all at the same time without spilling. I'm pretty proud of that. I managed to get the entire thing into one glass. So I think, I'm managing to still do this well. So I think it's just we need to even increase our intakes and hopefully get ourselves into this Sky Temple game really, really quick, because I just want to know what we're going to be going into draft-wise, if it's going to be super aggressive or if it's just going to be more of that play and just a little bit more of the passive side.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think, angles that you can take, and I guess I would like to, like, Felominishal, I don't know if I want them to be more aggressive or if I want them to take more of that passive, let League of Ordinary Gentlemen kind of dictate the pace and then be more responsive, because I feel like there were a lot of situations they were trying to go in and make something happen, and it just so quickly turned the tables on them. And I don't know if that's simply because they can't deal with the Zul composition, if it's really that big of a problem here, or if maybe they were just feeling a bit nervous about the fact that this might be their last game in Bush League. So there's a lot of factors to play into here as well.
Sorry, oh no, they want. Oh yeah, you got Shin Captain. Pokecheck was asking if we are going to be casting Heroes Lounge 2. If I sent them a message. If they'll have me, I would love to. So that's where I sit with it.
It's definitely
casting.
I think it's a possibility for both of us, but focus, at least for tonight, is here in Bush League, and let's get this draft started. Felominishal, if they lose out this game, they are out, and League of Ordinary Gentlemen go to finish out the Betty White bracket. Now, not important to note, I guess kind of important to note, fun facts. So the second half of the Betty White bracket gets played October 8th, where we will see Revolt versus Extra Cheese there. So whoever wins this game will have to face one of those two teams, for better or worse, if that's something they're looking forward to or not.
I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping for a game 3, and I just even Twitch chat is just like everyone root for Felominishal, so we get that game 3, and I was like, yes, that way we can go to Towers of Doom and absolutely have a 1-to-1 game and have it go down to the boss wire like it always does. But no, getting into this draft, I'm wondering if we see any sort of priority into Tyrael. I think that's a strong hero, as well as just overall boss control.
What?
Denying the late game Nazebo. No, because Sky Temple definitely goes to 20. It's definitely a late game map. So much like Volskaya Foundry, this is a great map to actually have that Nazebo and get those stackings and hit that 175.
I am wondering, given the Zul play last game, if we see that be a bit more of a priority on the side of League of Ordinary Gentlemen early on, or if they're worried that maybe Felominishal can come up with something that's a bit more counterable. But given the change-ups here, we're going to allow Urel to make it through, and it gets picked up first slot here for League.
I'm agreeing with Twitch chat right now. Kerrigan doesn't make it through draft, and I really would like to see one of these teams play Kerrigan against each other. But Yrel in the first slot is super strong in that solo lane. But Felominishal is actually going to pick up Kael'thas with Whitemane, and I like that as a start because Whitemane has been extremely powerful in some of these fight situations. As long as she's dealing damage and she doesn't get peeled apart and poked at and ripped away from the team, then she's great. And that's where I think on the side of League of Ordinary Gentlemen, you lock in like a Garrosh or even a Junkrat at this point to deny Whitemane that healing. But they pick up Li Ming, who really benefits on heroes standing still, and also the Abathur that we talked about a little bit before in this draft.
My brain is going to the existence of a Yrel with an Abathur hat and how awful that is. It is just so frustrating to have to play against. So that's an absolute possibility here. The other possibility is, do we see solo support Abby, or are we going to see a I don't even want to say a more common a throwback strat where Abathur is kind of your split lane push potential with a 4-man rotation coming out instead of focusing on having Abathur play the healer role. And the fact that that's a question I have to ask now just still entirely blows my mind. I do like the ban out onto the Brightwing and knowing that with that Emerald Wind still has that boss control potential. Murder and Cassia coming out for Felominishal to give a bit of dive and stun potential to this composition.
I love that Leif Erikson in draft chat is just like, you're just banning out my stitches like that? Like, how dare you? But we actually get the Sonya, so that looks like it's going to be... We could have triple tank frontline and then just do the... No, this is... I love this. Oh my god, yes. Yes. Oh, Valeera with Abathur is such a terrifying combination, and then you have Li Ming for reset for days, and even someone in Ramadi actually pointed it out. Double Li Ming from Abathur? No. Oh, reset city, and then you just have Valeera just picking him apart in the back. Yes!
Shut up!
Wait. No, not yes. Wait, why?
You so quickly. That's so many resets for Li Ming if she gets the kills onto the Viking.
I got excited that I'm so disappointed. Like, this is...
And you have a Valeera stalking around who is going to sneak up behind, like, Eric and be like, peace out, brother. Like...
This is going to... Okay, Leif Erikson is going to play the best Vikings we've seen in North America right now, because this is like the quick match composition where you're like, all right, I'm just gonna play Lost Vikings in quick match, and this is gonna be fun, and then you load into like this. This is what you get in quick match, and you're just like, how do I? Well, at least I got Sky Temple, like
right. Big map makes sense.
I don't have words, Cat Peach. I don't know. I guess I can just drink. I'll just drink more.
You can just drink. As we wait for the game to load in, there were a few bit cheers earlier in this game that I missed out on. So, Fringe, thank you very much. Baha yourself, thank you for the resub. And Sonia's 10 months. Thank you for that, my friend. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out here, actually. It's a fucking blast. But let's see if we can get to game 3, or... does League of Ordinary Gentlemen say, this is it for everyone? Let's get into it. Game number 2 here. We are going to have Bags on that Sonya. We're going to have Ender Wiggin on the Yrel, Mystic Shroud on the Li Ming, Rosai on the Valeera, and bringing up the roster, we have Loxley on the Abathur.
And on the right-hand side, trying to even up the score and take us to that game number 3. We have Felominishal with Xeranex going to be on the Whitemane, Shin going to be on the Kael'thas, with Grimlock going to be on the Muradin, Shivler going to be on the Cassia, and we'll have Leif Erikson going to be on those Lost Vikings, who will hopefully find their way around this map, as we already have the sounds coming out from the Valeera here. So much damage going to be going out onto the Cassia at this point. And the one thing I actually wanted to note really quickly is we kind of have this nice disengage, no one really dying just yet. We actually have a role swap coming out between Xeranex and Shivler. I think I'm saying that one right. They're actually doing support swap in this game. Because I think Xeranex was the Asmodee in the last. So it was just, I don't know, it was just a little interesting thing just to note for everyone, as we have 3 Lost Vikings in bottom lane.
Three Vikings chugging along, running away from a spitting Sonya. Also running away from that Valera that we kind of mentioned in the draft. That Valera is just going to be stalking on those tiny targets, going through those bushes, true Bush League style, trying to find those picks here. But the stun goes out onto Bags for the time being. But the healing is there from the Whirlwind. Urel and Cassie, though, up in top lane trying to duke it out, which I don't think I've necessarily ever seen that particular matchup.
This matchup between Ender Wigan and Shivler, it's interesting. The blinds could be really, really strong, but the one thing that I actually want to... Oh my god, Grimlock taking a ton of damage there. The one thing that we didn't really talk about at all is Convection Kael'thas. So yeah, that's a... And like, for a hot second, like, my brain was just like, oh, it makes sense going into Lost Vikings. And then the other half of my brain was like, but they're on the same team. Like, come on now. Especially with the Valera, like, this is just... I feel like these teams have just been like, all right, we're going to go full quick fetch and just see what happens. But no, Bags, once again, though, on that Sonya is going to be doing a lot of work here as they step up onto Grimlock. And that Lake Murden is going to be something real fierce to deal with, especially with how bruisery they're already starting to build them with that level 1 Perfect Storm talent.
I don't think I've ever seen Lost Vikings grouped for this long, except for the 2 times that I've played Lost Vikings. Actually, make it a 1 time, because I played them once, and as soon as I tried to split them up, I wanted to vomit. So they're going to stay together. Olaf, though, going to eat a bunch of tower shots, and going to fall here, leaving his 2 friends to wander this world by themselves.
And that's actually first kill of the game, going over by a Viking just being a little too far forward there. Olaf a little too hungry as they know this rotation is happening. They know that they're on this camp. The damage is going to be coming out from Mystic Shroud. Leaf Eriksson's trying to split up the Vikings here with that speed boost, and they make it out, but they end up giving over the camp for free. So a trade that is realistically more so in favor for the members of League of Ordinary Gentlemen as they continue to make rotations, and we have a double temple phase starting out here while the Vikings clear up bottom lane.
Yeah, there's bottom lane pressure they have to clear. Now, during this phase, it might be the time for the Vikings to really shine as everyone is distracted by capturing those temples and getting those shots. But we're going to have to see, as right now, League of Ordinary Gentlemen having control of both of those. Camp pressure built up from Felominishal in the top lane in response, and they're going to come in and regain this temple for the time being, but some shots already lost. We'll have to see if there's some kind of benefit they can get during this phase, or if they simply try to trade out what's left and kind of reset from there.
So far, it seems to be a trade between these 2 temples. Meanwhile, we have the 3-stack Vikings in bottom lane pushing into the Abathur. So trying to deny that Abathur at least that body soak, which is good, but realistically, they could also just rotate into mid and know that there's 3 Vikings. Hat soak at the bottom lane, body soak the mid, and be just fine. But we currently have a bit of a fight over this as Grimlock needs to disengage, but having to use that Dwarf Toss to only get into the range of Sonya. That reset goes over to Li Ming. Mystic Shroud with only 80-some health, but Abathur will kill steal that away, and the first full kill going over to the members of League of Ordinary Gentlemen.
That was such like a surprise bitch moment to be like, I have 90 health, you probably think I'm retreating, but nope. Here's an orb to the face, Murden goes down, and that is the sass that I expect to see from Li Ming players, given that she seems like a sassy person on her own. League of Ordinary Gentlemen taking this opportunity to get some additional pressure in that bottom lane. They know that whatever camp that they grab, it seems like the Lost Vikings are simply staying down there, just clearing it out, responding to it. And they also know that these Vikings are staying really close together, probably as a way to try to deter the Valera pick-offs, but Sonya being able to pick off Balog there, and followed by Eric, and there is 1 lone Viking left. Should get out for the time being, but you know, this is definitely a rough game for the Vikings, I feel like, so far. And I wonder if Leif Eriksson is ever going to adjust, keeping them come together, or try to spread them out and try to get that additional body soak there.
I'll say this, I've played a decent amount of Vikings in my time, and that is someone who is just hitting the number 4 key and just grouping them with that button. And I'm exactly that. Like, is there going to be a point when Leif Eriksson splits them across the map and actually starts to utilize their soak? Because realistically, if we look at the soak levels, yes, they're at 4,000, but even then, Cassia's not too far behind with 3,000, soaking experience. So I'm still not understanding this pick. Like, where is it coming from? Where is it going to get the value? It's all this Baylog build too, so they're all going for just that specific damage, as Eric is going to get bodied here really quickly by the Valera. They have the orb coming out from Li Ming. It won't connect, and no other resets coming out, but this is just, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the game plan is, and I'm not seeing what their end result will be, but hopefully maybe they hit that level 10, and that's when they get the value that they're looking for. I don't know when it's going to pop off for them, but I'm hoping it will be soon.
Do you think we see a play it again come out from the Vikings? Just
If
assuming they're going to get killed off and bring them back, given that they've been grouped so often, but the silence goes on to Grimlock. Hold on, a lot of damage taken on to that Muradin. Bring him back away, allow that trait to proc and heal up a bit before trying to re-engage back into this fight. And this is looking mighty dangerous for Felominishal if they're choosing to engage in this format, because, oh my goodness, their opponents just hit 10. Grimlock trying to get out of there. Oh. Sylvier trying to get out as well. Whitemane, though, not making it out alive from this scenario. Since Great is going out, that's going to be another reset for Mystic Shroud there with those 2 kills, Bahamut.
So...
Abathur went down! The Vikings killed the Abathur!
That's where it is. That's the value. That's the sneaky value that we've been talking about all game. No, I actually, by the way, I think this is a longboat raid game, at least the way that they're playing them. If they're not splitting them off, I feel like you just hit that R button. Nope, I'm completely wrong. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but we do have this Valera coming up, and Eric seems to be the choice target here. Eric still slipped in, so Brave is going to get bodied by that Abathur. They return the kill, as Sonya has come up here as well. Bags wants to get this, but they have no other sort of chase, and they back off.
Oh, at least 2 Vikings getting away in that scenario, but what a risky situation to be followed up on that Valera like that. Level 10 at least hit in the past couple of minutes for Felominishal, so they can consider being a bit more aggressive in these scenarios, but there's so much they have to catch up on. They've allowed that top lane to get pushed in. Bottom, they've already lost a fort. Mid, they've lost a fort. Everything is not in their favor right now, and with this additional bruiser camp pressure coming out from League of Ordinary Gentlemen, they are just keeping so on top of map control here on Sky Temple.
Now the Vikings have picked up this camp to try and push top a little bit, but it's really not going to yield too much, as Valera has already gone around through the bottom, maybe looking for that flank angle, or at least sitting in the bush. I'm waiting for this. The Shin has come up to kind of help out the friendly team. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to play too aggressively into this. The one thing I also want to note is Shin is still sitting at 13 out of the 20 convection stacks necessary, so they can't play aggressive yet because they still don't want to die too early and lose out on that. The other also thing on top of that is they do have the Pyro Bomb, so look to see them maybe focus that onto Mystic Shroud once they get them a little bit low in health. But this is the double temple phase that I was talking about right before we got into this draft. And being able to say, all right, well, how do we split up our team? And maybe this is where the Vikings get that value. They're going to rotate all 3 into bottom. No one else going to be going down there, but maybe they just send the Valera, who so far has been bodying them pretty easily.
Yeah, and those Abathur mines should take out a bit of damage as they rotate. Nothing that they can't get back, but just something to slow it down, keep an eye on. But all eyes are focused here up on top. That camp is quickly disintegrated by League of Ordinary Gentlemen. The beginning shots taken by Felominishal, but their opponents now coming in. Rosai trying to find the target onto Whitemane, ends up being exposed. Damage going out onto them, so they're going to back away. Sylvier, though, in an awful position in that backside. Cassia is going to fall. Grimlock popped the Avatar as well, but I think this fight is just going to be over here.
3 Vikings on bottom, 4 members on top. Abathur didn't even really need to use, I don't think I've seen a clone come out from Abathur yet. I'm gonna be honest. I think they've just been kind of soaking the lanes and also throwing down Mule and making sure they're not losing out too much. But that will be the bottom fort going down. They'll have mid going down a little bit here, and once they can open up this map a little bit more, that might be where they get that value. They're able to kind of play into that Abathur, force them further back in the lanes and not allow them to actually get that huge value. But overall, these Vikings, they need to get some sort of later game value, because the soak that you really expect from them isn't going to be yielding what they should be having, as they have a lot of chase going on onto 3 Vikings. Mystic Shroud is going to get caught out, though. They start to turn around. Reset 1 for Mystic Shroud as they go ahead and get another Disintegrate out here. Grimlock so low. Cat Peach, are they able to pick up another kill?
So many kills happening right now. Cassia is going to fall here. Mystic Shroud trying to get the additional reset, but it ends up falling from the tornado from the boss. Grimlock trying to stay alive, but the silence is there, and the follow-up damage is there from Valir. Balog going to fall as well, and this is just full retreat mode now for Felominishal. Even though the health bars on League of Ordinary Gentlemen aren't the highest, they know that they just can't fight this fight, but this clone Valir trying to do the best they can to get that damage in, but no additional kills confirmed. But getting killed by the tornado from a boss, just ouchie.
Yeah, Peach, but this is it. I just want to point out, Shin has finished Convection. We now have an aggressive Kael'thas who is okay with dying. Now, granted, doesn't mean that it's like, all right, yeah, no, cool, I can die, but it definitely means that they can play some of these engagements a little bit more aggressive. They don't need to make sure that they're always on that back foot and not going to be losing out on any sort of stacking potential here, as we might have a play for the boss, and this is actually going to be a nice fight. It's 15-13. This is when the members of Felominishal need to take a fight, as they are starting to rotate members down. There is no clone available for Abathur, and I feel like they've called this out, and they're making the disengage because of that factor. Boss going to go back up to full health. It is fully leashed, and the temple activates in bottom lane in the next 19 seconds. And seems like both teams are just kind of prepping the lanes and getting themselves ready for this. Maybe even getting a pick onto someone who's a little too far forward.
Yeah, Grimlock ends up being the target for that Valir for the time being. The Disintegrate goes out, but Razai was blinded for a while. The Scarlet Aegis also going out to try to get that healing in for the rest of the team, but Grimlock is still taking a lot of damage. Valkyrie is there, no target connects, and Felominishal now on the back foot saying we don't want to fight this any longer. They're going to go heal up and try to clear out those siege giants going through their bottom lane, while their Vikings, at least for the time being, are getting value on that fort, but they can't seem to out-damage that Abathur Mule just yet.
Abathur Mule doing God's work and just making sure that they're not going to be losing out too much, but they should be able to push into top, as the bottom is going to be sieged up by this temple, and I don't think this will take a keep, but they're kind of evening out the game here, and this is, as I said, this is where Abathur starts to get in that rocky position, and it's like, well, I have one fort to kind of sit around, and otherwise I need to start sitting behind keep gates, or I play aggressive and I start sitting in bushes and maybe getting caught out, but we'll see. No, because Locust is at 20 or is that 16? I can't remember.
You are asking the wrong person.
I was like, I can't remember, but I think it's like Locust Nest is at 16, so he could play that kind of tricky game where you throw a nest in a bush and then kind of sit in another, and then once that nest gets killed, then you're like, all right, well, I need to leave my area because they're already onto me. But we're not going to be seeing that aggressive play, as Boss is going to be stolen away by the members of League of Ordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, they get that boss. They have that additional pressure. That keep is already sitting at half damage as well. So if there is not an immediate response coming out from Felominishal, I don't know what is going to save them. They also are going to have to face against that additional camp backing up that boss here. So that is a lot of pressure. The Vikings, though, still hanging out with their own boss on top there, trying to get as much value counter-wise as possible, but that URL is coming in, should be able to dissuade those Vikings from pushing too much further. But this is looking pretty dire again for Felominishal. This keep is going to fall from this boss. And now we're at a point of how much longer can they stay in this game? Is there some miracle plot that they have been slowly weaving through this game with those Vikings in that lane? Or is this going to be the end for them here in Bush League?
This is going to be 3 Vikings going down. No use to play it again. They don't get the keep. They just pressure the top lane. They lose to keep themselves and their entire Viking crew. And once again, Abathur is able to just kind of sit the lane and be fine in mid, and they still have pressure there. And it's not a keep lane that's already been open, so they can have that extra added to the wave. And you can see that it's naturally pushing up a little bit more through at that mid position and almost being at the keep front gate. I was like, maybe it's a 16 game for Vikings, maybe it's a 13 game for Vikings. I don't know what they need at this point, but realistically, this is starting to look a bit dire, as they've had reset after reset, and it's a double altar phase or double temple phase coming up here in 5 seconds.
Yeah, these double temples, I'm sure that League of Ordinary Gentlemen thinking that they've gotten shots from both so far in this game, why not again, but instead allowing this bottom one for Felominishal to grab on for the time being and just split up. The Vikings have to clear that bottom camp, so they won't be available at all to support this endeavor of their team. So it looks like shots just being treated out from both teams for the time being, as our specialist heroes just kind of do what they do best and support the entire endeavor here.
I'm waiting to see if Mule comes down on mid or if they just let it go, and no, I think they're going to let it go. Meanwhile, top is going to be losing a keep, and so that is catapult pressure in 2 lanes while we have Ender Wiggins still sitting up in this point. I love that the entire team has just been like sitting in this bush. They're just like, try us. Just come at us, bitch. Like, we're waiting for you, but it's not going to be happening here, and they just go ahead and rotate right into bottom lane. Boss won't be up for another 2 minutes or so here, and I'll see him. Meanwhile, bottom lane, yeah, the Vikings will push this out fine. And I look over and see Dorsch is just like, yeah, they need 20, of course. And I'm like, Fury of the Storm. That'll be good for them. They have better wave clear for that single lane. No, realistically, actually, there are some decent 20 talents that they can pick up. But we'll see here as currently have a Valeera sneaking right by. These two are just playing so close together. And this later half of the game, it's realistically who might end up stepping too far forward. And even that, like, there may be 2 keeps gone on the side of Felominishal, but if they can get a good team fight, they can really do a lot of damage themselves.
Grimlock has eyes on Valeera, tried to unveil them, but all for not. The Aperture hat still on her as well, just in case someone finds Valeera and can make her unstealth. The Aperture hat on the top minion, helping with that top push. Catapults are going to be going into 2 lanes of Felominishal, and so that's something they're going to constantly have to keep an eye on. And with the way that these Vikings have been grouping, you can't necessarily have them alone clearing out that catapult pressure, so I'm interested to see, given that this seems to be the playstyle here of Leif Erikson on those heroes, how would they decide to kind of split and conquer that pressure that's currently coming at them? They have about 1 level to 20, and they might be able to get it before this next shrine, and maybe that's the ticket. Maybe that gives them their window of opportunity to make something happen here. They did manage to get 4 forts down. Like, as much as they've been on the back foot, they have gotten structural damage here. That's, you know, they know that they might have a shot here if they can just get 1 play, get both of these shrines. They might start looking at keep pressure themselves.
They're actually going to be running this all together. And by the way, Dorsch, I know that you're being sarcastic. Absolutely. No, you're just like, well, 20 is the only talent that they have left. Absolutely. But,
no, Dorsch is being a dick, and it's very, very serious, Dorsch. We don't appreciate that. We're kidding. We love you. We love you.
But we are going to be having, this is going to be 20 to 19, and it's in favor for League of Ordinary Gentlemen, as we have Urel already sitting on the top lane, 2 in the bushes around there. Valeera is going to start the mid and almost get locked down by Grimlock, but they trade these out, and I don't think this will end for the members of League of Ordinary Gentlemen, but it definitely confirms the keep, and then it'll get some decent damage onto the core. But I feel like they just want to open this up on the side of League of Ordinary Gentlemen, or excuse me, Felominishal, and just look for those 20s through the objective.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on that top camp and how long Felominishal decides to ignore it. They are getting value of themselves on that mid keep at the very least, and the Vikings are also doing additional damage with their own push onto that same keep, so it might be their opportunity to get catapult pressure. But Valeera coming in, trying to get off Olaf out of the picture, ends up being successful. And the chase is on now from all members to try to maybe find those Vikings, but they make it out just fine. But the rest of Felominishal now clearing up what is attacking their core, and this boss call is such a perfect opportunity for League of Ordinary Gentlemen to just end this game as soon as possible.
They need to pick up this boss. They need to just walk to core. There's actually a catapult still on the core, and it's going to start doing some incremental damage here. And there's a mini wave. They're fine. But boss is instantly burned. Valkyrie does come out. They will try and pull someone in. Not going to be happening, as that is going to be a lot of damage coming out from Mystic Shroud. They are going to be having the Valeera clone out as well. Grimlock getting a decent amount of damage out here in that avatar form, but they're starting to fall very low. That is going to be the Powerbomb coming out. That does a lot of damage to Ender Wiggin, but doesn't confirm the kill. These teams are needing to just get the kill, but they cannot find one on each other, as Rousey finds the Murden, but they're getting healed up. That is going to be the Valeera falling here. But the thing is, boss and lanes are so pressured up. They need to go back. They need to clear. They cannot play Mystic Shroud. Oh, that would have been big for them.
That was so close. And yeah, the race is on. Can this boss be taking out the members of League of Ordinary Gentlemen? Also coming down this lane, trying to say, well, the shield's already down. Let's try to finish it off. So this is it. Felominishal, do they stay in Bush League, or is this where their journey ends? Mystic Shroud taking a lot of damage. Grimlock trying to lead on the backside. Bags with the whirlwind, trying to get the last bit of damage, and the boss finally goes down. Ender Wiggin trying to finish it off. We're at 20, 17% for core, 15. The members of Felominishal are running around, but there's still pressure on this core. Cassia finally finishes it out. There's an 8% core left to their name here, Bahamut.
Not quite a Caleris core, but enough to be worried and shaken in your boots for one, as we currently have Catapult still sieging and Abathur trying to do as much as they can with this. Catapult! Leaf Erickson!
Oh
GG's.
no! GG's. The hatted minion with the catapult. They just didn't stick around long enough to clear out the lane pressure, and that, after such a clutch defense, ends up being the end of Felominishal here in Bush League. GG's to League of Ordinary Gentlemen. They fought hard in this matchup, but if there's a Bush League way for this to end, that was a Bush League ending for Felominishal.
One of my friends asked me when I first started casting, he was like, you know in the carbide animation for Abathur, when he pushes the core and it's like a single little hit from the Abathur hat that pretty much ends it? I actually think it's from a locust in the video, but either way, he was like, have you ever had an actual game end with just like the Abathur basically getting the hat on the core? And I can literally now say, yes, I have seen an Abathur end a game with a hat, because that was the last little just spy needle they needed out from Loxky, and that I just don't have words. Like, if they actually took Fury of the Storm on the Lost Vikings, that actually would have potentially cleared out that wave before they could have done it. So Dorsch actually might have been right on point, or Brahmady I think might have been the one saying it, but either way, that's a Bush League way to end a series right there.
Yeah, for sure. And Felominishal, I mean, at the very least, we got to see Solo Lane Vikings for the first time, I think, of my life. And it was definitely something to enjoy. And League of Ordinary Gentlemen, let's take a peek at the schedule real quick. So as we mentioned, they will face off the winner of Team Revolt versus Extra Cheese, which happens on Monday, October 8th. But before then, we have a bit of a break for the Betty White bracket. So tomorrow we start the Chuck Norris bracket with Good and Soken. So we're going to see Best Coast Night Owls versus Tryharder tomorrow. So that'll be a matchup for sure. And given that Ramity's hanging out in chat, it means he's not practicing for that matchup. So we'll have to see if Tryharder goes against the top seed here in Bush League, Bahamut. Dang. Oh, I always feel bad being salty, to be entirely honest. I love you, Ramity. I'm sorry.
I also just love like Grizzly, Grizzly in chat. Just League of Ordinary Gentlemen is dumpster tier, but love. Dang! Calling them out. But no, this series was so much fun to cast, and I also want to point out and just really kind of praise them for it. Not playing a single main tank technically on the side of League of Ordinary Gentlemen, so showing that, as Cattle literally said at the end of the Tempo Storm match today, that the tanks in Heroes of the Storm are trash, and you can literally play whatever you want.
I'll have to catch that interview because I definitely didn't see
It was
that,
really good. It was really good. Kato was just like, he's just like, Blizzard, please make better tanks. Like, that was this whole kind of thing in just a very good summation. But these matches, they were an absolute blast. And if you missed any of it, please go back and watch the VOD, because you'll definitely catch some interesting stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And Grizz, thanks again for the 69 bits. I love to see it. When Bush League's over, I'm gonna miss the 69 bits coming in.
Oh yeah.
They've always been fun. But Baha, that's going to wrap it up for us here tonight. I still have a little bit of gin and tonic left. So while I drink this, give whatever shout outs you have, any plugs you got for the lovely people in the audience.
Well, thanks first off to Bush League. Thank you all for having us. We love lowering our standards, and, thank you for offering us this opportunity to do that. Absolutely to you as well to finish off your gin and tonic as I look over at stream and you're just chugging. But no, thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate getting to co-cast with you, and also getting to do the camera work. That was fun. I haven't got to do that in a bit here. So
Baha did the opsing tonight, so I can literally just hands-free it and not give a shit.
It's fun to fly around the map sometimes, and so I hope you all enjoyed that. And then lastly, you can find me at Bahamut Gaming on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. I cast obviously with Cat Peach actually quite a bit, and off on my own channel as well. So I have had a lot to drink. I'm talking in circles, so I'm going to pass it back to you. And thank you so much once again.
Well, we still have more casting from us, so don't you all worry. But for now, I'm trying to see who to pass it over to after this, and it actually looks like so my friend Gokiberry is giving away some virtual tickets for BlizzCon. So if you're like, I don't want to spend $50 on that shit, you might be able to win one. So we're gonna throw it over to him for a while. He's a nice boy, so go say hi to him. Sin and Loxley, rip, but thank you for the bits as well. And we will see you all on October 8th for the conclusion of the semifinals of the Betty White bracket. We all hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. This has been Bush League. See you next time.